our first episode with you back in season 1, every month since then, you've been getting that episode's been getting more and more streams every month. Like it still performs every month.
Wild. I don't know what I said back then. That's yikes. That was a long time ago. She's done a lot of growing and healing.
The Parker you heard does not represent the Parker you're hearing now.
Literally, not the same person.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
You okay?
Happy New Year, Jenna.
Happy New Year, freak show.
How are
you didn't warn me that at all.
How are your holidays?
My holidays were good. All I did was chill, read books, and play with the dog.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Yeah, I know you were sick over the holidays, weren't you?
Well, first it started with me hosting my parents for 7 days, which was great.
Yeah.
It was great. And then I got sick, so I still have a bit of a tickle, but that's okay.
So it wasn't sick, but it's okay.
Yeah. Starting 2025 off strong with a raspy voice.
Yeah. It's season 4 of our podcast.
Congrats.
I can't believe 4 and a bit years ago, I convinced you to finally do this, and here we are.
Here we are, and there's no looking back. Here we are, season 4, episode 1. We have today a repeat guest. Offender. Our friend, Parker Graye.
We kind of had to catch up since the last time. She was season 1, episode 4. So if you didn't listen to that, go back and listen to that one first, because there's a lot of context you will have no clue about if you just listen to this one. We recapped what's happened since then, including a move to Nashville. I won't tell you much more. We kind of recapped especially 2023 and 2024 and a lot of the cool things she's got to do. We also kind of just talked about her career as a songwriter and where she's headed and what she focuses on now, and some of the cool things she has going on this year.
Yeah, we talked about milestones, future things coming up. Her current single, Halfway and Halfway Live, are out now. They're going bananas. Spoiler alert here, Parker Graye was one of my top listened artists on my Spotify Wrapped 2024. So I'm obviously also a fan and a friend.
Here's our episode with Parker Graye. Welcome back to the porch.
We have a 2-timer here.
Oh shit, buddy.
2-timer.
We're hanging out on the old porch ski.
Welcome to the porch ski, Parker Graye ski.
Oh, buddy. Oh my god, my phone.
So, Parker Graye, thank you so much for joining us for the second time on the podcast.
Thanks for having me back. It's the best.
For the first episode of season 4, which feels insane to say.
Yeah. Crazy.
I can't believe we've done 4 years of this.
So long now.
I know.
Well, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
That's a big deal.
You're telling me 4 years sitting here with Jenna is a big deal.
I think we should start this off by recapping where the heck you were in season 1, episode whatever that was. It was very early. It was like, what, episode 4?
I think it was 3, wasn't it?
Crazy. You were one of our first chats.
Oh my God.
Episode 4, yeah.
We left you in Vancouver, BC.
Okay.
A lot has changed since then.
I think we were talking about either Last Rodeo. I think that would have been around then still.
Crazy.
Cowboys Go.
That would have been my first song I did with Kate.
In the episode, you were saying, I think I might make the move to Nashville. I haven't quite decided yet.
Crazy.
And fast forward to not long after that, but now that we're talking to you, you've been in Nashville for a few years now.
Almost 2. Yeah.
That's insane.
It doesn't even feel like 2 years, though, which is really crazy. Like, I feel like year 1, I ran so fast, and I had, like, no concept of time here. Like, I was just so excited to be here, and I was trying to do everything that I possibly could. And then this last year, I feel like it was a combo of still running, but in a different way. And then I have no idea what this year's going to be. But yeah, it's crazy that it's been 2 years. It's wild.
So what was the biggest shock or biggest learning experience when you first hit the ground in Nashville?
I wasn't
Because
doing
like,
that
because like before you were you were visiting pretty frequently, planning
Yeah.
your writing trips in chunks, but then now you live there, so you don't have to plan every day like chock
Yeah.
full of like the same. So what was the biggest change there?
I mean, the first week was crazy when I first moved because, and that was like in a crazy dreamland because I was talking with a label and they had me in sessions all week. And then the last day I got to write with Ernest, which was crazy. And like, I remember being so, if I compare myself as a writer then in terms of like my own confidence, I was just so not ready. Like I had no idea what I was doing. Like I knew to a degree, but I didn't in the realm of like writing at publishing houses and writing with people that are way more talented than I am. So that first little while, I think I just had no concept of what living here was actually like. And then now that you're here, you settle in, and I mean, I'm still doing all of the same things, but I think now it just looks different. Like more of my friends are signed, both on a publishing side and a label side, and more of the rooms that I go into are with people who have lots of success or are chasing closer to similar goals that I am. Whereas before everything was like probably a little bit more diverse in that, but I don't know if that really answered your question, to be honest.
No, it did for sure. Like just like the difference between visiting and living there is
Yeah, and I think, that this is advice I give to anybody is like visiting here is very different. And I didn't know this because I'd been here so much and I had a place to land and all those things. I thought the transition was going to be really easy. And in some ways it was, but then I think I didn't give myself like a second to acclimate and like just be here. To be honest, I really didn't have a chance to that based off of like what I had going on that first week when I moved, because I also moved in what seemed like 72 hours. It was like, I got my visa and now I'm packing up a car and I'm leaving. Like it was all adrenaline, zero like concept of what was actually going on.
that
But
seems to be the theme for your moving.
honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like it's just like a lot of my things. Like it's nothing's happening and then everything's happening. But the advice that I give to people is like, give yourself a second. Like you think that you're going to be able to just move and it's going to be like it is when you visit. And there's just something about it where it's not. And you have to give yourself a moment to acclimate and like just take a look around and slow down before you start to speed up, because I burned out so bad at one point. And I don't know if it was the end of 2023 or and it might've been the end of 2023 into 2024, but I just like, I was cooked. I had nothing left in the tank. And it was probably because I just went too hard, too fast, but whatever. I'm also in my 30s, so it's like different. Like if you're 22, yeah, grip it and rip it. Like you probably go for it, buddy.
Yeah.
I don't know, but everybody's different. But that's what I took a lot away from that for sure.
There's something to say about like once you have kind of found your feet, it kind of goes with your point about like living there versus not, and having like this diverse group of people, and now you've kind of like you learn to like find your people and your space and what you want to be doing, and you kind of build around that rather than just like picking from everywhere too, right?
And this might come off as like it might sound negative, but I don't intend it to be at all. But before I moved, I didn't really understand why people didn't want to write with people. You know what I mean? Like you would message somebody and they just wouldn't respond, or they don't see your message because for whatever reason, maybe it's in your request folder, or they just read it and don't respond. And what I learned is that so many people who are really close to signing or recently signed or signed. Like they either don't control their calendar, so they have no control over what happens. They can forward you off to their A&R publisher person, and that's probably going to get seeded out pretty quick unless you have some crazy traction and like management outreach. But also time is so limited, and like not every signed writer is writing 5 days a week. Most of them are writing 3, and some of them they have their own schedule, and like it's energetically, I can see how it can be very difficult to take on things outside of the group of people that you write well with. You're focused on different goals. You might be writing for pitch or writing for specific things, and I think that you have to create space to work with people who are not in your circle. I think that's super important, especially if someone put a hand down for you when you were coming up. I think it's really important to pay that forward. But I had a really hard time understanding that. And now that I'm in it, it's like, oh, I get why those people were like that now. And you have to learn that it's not that you're not good enough, or it's not that you're not cool enough or whatever. It's just that, like, that's the way that it goes. Like, and the only thing I can do to change that, because I know how shitty it felt, is try my best to, like, you know, if people are coming to town, like, try to be accommodating. And sometimes I just can't. And, like, there's times when I can try. But yeah, you just learn so much so fast. It's crazy.
How has your music or writing changed since moving down to Nashville?
I think I'm way more connected to my emotions in a way. I think that's also just getting to know yourself. As you get older, you can really identify what you want to say and say it clearly. I think you find out really quick what is you and what's not you. Again, just like really finding out who you are as an artist and what are the things that you want to talk about. And you learn that a lot too by going into rooms and people pitching ideas or like forcing an idea on you, and you're like, that, like, I am feeling it in all ways of my body that this is not for me. Like, not that there's anything wrong with writing a song for somebody else, but like some people want to be like, you could do this thing, and you're like, yeah, I don't know, it's not my thing.
I could, but I don't want to.
Yeah, like you just have to, and you have to learn how to communicate that. So I think I had to learn, I don't think I was really good at communicating those things early on, and I had to learn how to do that. So that's definitely changed, and I'm way more vocal about it now if it's a session for me. I think I learned quickly to stop chasing what everybody else is doing. I still do it sometimes. It's not like it doesn't happen, because you're like, that's so cool, I want to do my version of that. Like, that's going to happen, and I guess that's just defined by inspiration. But I think I've learned to trust that a little more. Like, learn to trust that what I hear and what the things that I want to say, and the way I walk into a session with an idea, like, that's like, I believe in this more. Like, I think there's just like a different anchor point when you're starting to like pitch out an idea for the day. But also your caliber of thoughts and concepts and how you get from point A to point B just changes so fast. Because you'll be in rooms someday with people and you're like, how did you get there? Like, how did you come to this idea and all of a sudden it's way over here? Like, I couldn't even fathom thinking of that. Like, but over time you start to learn how people's brains work, and you start to like take the little things that they do and try to apply it to how you write, and so much changes. I feel like it's constantly changing too, depending on like what you're working on. If you're doing something for another artist, or if you're doing something for yourself, or whatever. But there's so many things. There's so many things and ways that it's changed.
Do you think where you're at right now, you're more artist first or writer first?
I would say that's a really tough question. Optically, it looks like I'm an artist. Optically, it looks like, oh, she's pushing this artist career thing. But I think what I will never waver from, regardless of if I make it as an artist or not, is that I am a songwriter. And I think I'm a storyteller, and I've had to learn that about myself. And I've had people in the industry say, well, you got to pick a lane. And I'm like, but that doesn't make sense. Like, those two things, like, that's the same thing.
Yeah, they're
Like
so closely intertwined. Like a songwriter is still an artist. It
right,
might not just be like a performer, but
right.
even like I don't know, they're all kind of intertwined
It's
in
the
my
same
opinion.
thing. Like to me, I don't like I see if you are I can see the difference sometimes between you can see the difference between a number one hit writer and somebody who's just on the come up. Like you can see that. But I think when people assume that you write your own songs, they just assume that you're an artist. Whereas I would argue I'm a songwriter.
Mm.
And like there's a lot of artists who aren't songwriters, and that's cool and that's fine. But I think I take a lot of pride in that the songwriting aspect and the songwriting journey and the way I approach songwriting. And over the last year I've really tried to pivot because I've had great things happen. Lots of people, I've been honored to work with lots of people who want to work with me, and it's a really cool feeling and it's really awesome. But I also really want to do those things with other people and other ideas and other emerging artists and that kind of stuff. So the last year I've written a lot, and I've in the back half of 2024 I definitely pivoted a lot and was like very vocal about I'm not writing for my project. We're done. We're done. And like I say that there's rooms that I walk into that I'm like, we're writing for me. I have a great idea. Like
Mm.
it's less of a focus. And I'm trying very hard to like move things more to me as a songwriter and allowing kind of like all the other chips to kind of fall where they are. It's not that I don't want to be touring like crazy. It's not that I don't want to be showing up on the road or doing podcasts or, playing whatever. It's not that I don't want to do that. I really do want to do that. But I think the thing that's going to sustain my career long term is going to be my songwriting. And that constantly has to be something that I am working on as a craft, be it for me or for someone else, because both of those things are going to make me a better songwriter. So, long-winded question, songwriter.
TLDR songwriter.
Today I saw somebody's ins and outs, and it was ins. It was like saying long story short, and then saying the whole story anyways. Right there.
I'm never short-winded.
Oh.
No, she's a songwriter. She can wax poetic all she wants.
Dude, sometimes too much. Shut your trap.
But how do you? So you said like you'd go into writing rooms and be like, "We're not writing for me today," or "We are writing for me today." How do you know when you're going into a writing room that whether it's going to be for you or not? Is it like a mental decision, or is it kind of like you see where it goes? Is it who you're writing with? All the above?
I mean, if you are the only artist in the room, generally the assumption is that you're writing for you. Now, sometimes ideas will get pitched out that are like, yeah, that's cool, probably not for me, but the room wants to write it, so you write it. And then generally I end up cutting the vocal if there's not another vocalist in the room that's suitable for the idea or the vibe or whatever. Sometimes I have an idea and I'm in a room of people who I really trust and love, and I think the idea is good for the room, and I'll be like, I have a thing. Hear me out. And if the room likes it, you do it. So it depends on the day. It depends on where my head's at in the day. Like, I'm finding my life is pretty chill right now in terms of in the emotional department. Subtext men. So so it's quiet. The pasture is empty. So we are
that's a euphemism for sure.
I still open old wounds like a game of Operation, and we dig deep every now and again, but it's pretty chill over here. So I have my songs fairly picked for the year now, and like it will be interesting to watch how things evolve over the next 12 months and what do I want to talk about middle of the year really for next year. So it depends on the day, it depends on what you're doing. If there's another artist in the room, we write for the artist. Or sometimes I'll get an email from somebody be like, hey, I'm putting this room together, it's for this person, can you jump on? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. So sometimes it's already decided for you before, but it depends on the day, depends on what you're doing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think we should, sorry to go back to the evolution here of season 1 to 4, but I think we should go from Cowboys Go to halfway today, because that's quite,
Crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, so what's that? 3 years? 4 years?
3
When
and a
did they
bit.
release Halfway? August.
August.
And Cowboys Go came out in October of 2021.
Yes.
Like 3
November
years.
2021.
October?
November.
November.
So that's
October?
Cowboys Go is over 3 years old.
Damn, dude.
And then Last Rodeo. Wow, and then you didn't release a song till Last Rodeo the following June. I thought there was something in between there.
Really?
I guess not. And then we had Complicated. Let's do this. You get like 3 words to describe these songs now in your head, okay? So let's start with Cowboys Go.
Wait, am I describing the song or am I describing the like the genre not genre,
The song, the space you were in.
the vibe of when it was like written and came out.
Yeah.
So I'm not explaining the song.
No.
The time.
Let's give us So Cowboys Go.
Green. Invigorated. Not one word. Little fish, big pond.
Cool.
Okay.
Last Rodeo.
Depressed. Excited. Introspective.
Those are interesting 2 words to go together.
I know.
Okay. I'm not gonna do them all, or else we might be here for a minute. Let's do Good at Gettin Gone.
Oh. Ooh, that's hard because that one is different. Post gag coming out. Okay, so writing it, sad, unsure, and insecure.
Okay.
And then it became a breakthrough song. So
yeah, I mean, I didn't know that song was gonna do that. I had no idea. I had no clue that song was gonna turn a corner the way that it did. I mean, we wrote it. I wrote it on my kitchen table in Vancouver on Zoom with Kate and Tori, and I was like, it's a good song. Whatever. Like, I got dumped and I talked about it. Like, that was, you know what I mean? Which is so, that's all that I do. But I didn't know that was going to then be the, like, beginning of it. Like, last time was a really big turning point. Good at Gettin Gone became the next one, for sure.
And then One That Got Away.
Oh, excited, empowered. I was going to say confident, but that goes together. Intrigued.
I love that song.
Okay.
It is a fan favorite.
And then Halfway.
No, I want to hear Won't Be You.
Pardon me.
Well, Halfway and Won't Be You were written back to back. Same 2 days.
Oh.
Oh man. Clueless.
Oh.
Clueless. Fuck man, I don't know. Clueless. Driven. Confused. It's double.
I mean,
down.
not to like totally expose my fangirlness, but I mean, I've told you this as well. But "Won't Be You" is like one of my top songs on my Spotify Wrapped this year. I love it.
See, like, what's funny about "Won't Be You" is that was never a title in my phone. Dan started playing guitar. I hit record on my phone, and I just started riffing.
Oh.
It was all riffing. Most of that song was me making shit up on the spot. It wasn't me sitting there being like, oh, this line go, like, it was me just like letting it kind of come out and happen. And I feel like Won't Be You was written pretty fast. So that Won't Be You title just happened organically. Halfway I had as a title. I didn't know what it meant. And I threw it out in the room. And I mean, Dan and Garrett are always like, yeah, that's cool. Like, let's just do it. So they're easy to convince to write. But I also didn't know what halfway was.
Oh.
I had nothing. And it's interesting because those two songs are so different, but they were written, I think it was like a Tuesday, Wednesday. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, halfway wasn't based on anything or anyone in particular. I think I was in a place where like I really like poetry and there's like lots of poetic elements and I wanted that song to be very visual and to feel super organic. And I think I was in a place where I'm like, God, I can't keep doing the same crap that I'm doing. And by like letting people come back into my life, specifically romantic relationships or like situationships, come back in and like show up with half a cup and then just like break my heart again. Like I can't keep doing that anymore. And I felt like that was a pretty universal idea. So just kind of that song happened. That song just happened. And again, it was another song that I was like, and I can't use this as a rating scale because I think I'll get in my head too much about it. But it was a song where I was like, yeah, it's a good song. And I had a couple people like, they were like, this is a hit. And I'm like, everybody said, like, so subjective. Like, sure. We'll see, I guess. And everybody likes something different, so I didn't know. But then again, it's been that thing where, like, we're just over 4 months in. It will crack 1.1 million in probably 2 days.
That's an insanely high number.
Crazy. Like, I can't even fathom... Even when someone streams something like 20,000 times, I don't know what that looks like. That's 20. If you put 20,000 people in a room, that's a crazy number of people in a room. And so I can't fathom 1.1 million. That's
basically
obviously not 1.1 million people have listened to it. It's people have listened to it multiple times. But conceptually,
you pretty much put the entire population of Ottawa into a room and listen to that song.
Crazy. It's crazy. I don't get it. I'm grateful. It's a really cool thing to see. And I think it's kind of like helped me believe a little bit more in the evolution of the things that I'm doing. I'm still very unsure 90% of the time. I feel like I'm the blind leading the blind. But yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy.
Well, congrats. That's really cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's 7. I think it's like now 7.7 million collective streams organically. That's no marketing dollars. It's just hard streams, which is bananas.
Let's talk about a couple of the big things last year and the year before even, actually, because you've hit some of those, like, I think we call them like check in the box things where it's like, I want this, and then you get it and you're like, yes. So Good at Gettin Gone was like, you got the iHeart Future Star. You got the top 40 with that one. Mm-hmm. You got to play huge music festival in 2023, Boots and Hearts.
Yep.
I think, SiriusXM Top of the Country. You got to partake in that as a semi-finalist. I was like, what was I missing that is really cool? So you got to do some of these really cool things, and it's like people put this kind of stuff on their vision boards, and it's like, I want to be able to take part in these things. So what are some of those things that you're now thinking, like, I got to do those things, they were really cool, I learned a lot, they were super helpful. What are the things that you're like, these are important to me now? Like, now that I've done those things and they've lent to your career in some way, what are the things that you really focus on now? Or
the next box to check?
Oh boy.
Which is probably always a moving target, but
yeah, like, I mean, as an example of, I think that there's a lot you don't know. Like getting the billboard with Amazon when the EP came out, that was like crazy. Like, I didn't see that coming at all. I remember getting that email and texting the team back and being like, you mean one that people see outside? Like, or do you mean like it's one on the internet? Like, you know, like that.
To
And
give
then
people an idea of what you're talking about, you had your face up in the middle of Dundas Square in Toronto.
yeah, what?
Yeah.
It was crazy. Jenna was there when we surprised my dad, and he was like, cool. It's cool.
That is the most dad response ever.
Oh my gosh, so dad.
Cool.
But I mean, so here's what I think I learned. And you guys know me on a very deep friendship level, so I know you're going to probably hold me accountable to this, but I think in some ways I learned about leaving room for magic. And I want to dig my heels in and not even say that out loud.
That is a beautiful sentiment.
Yeah. I think, I'm so focused on fucking just making it, like I want to do this the rest of my life. Like, so you spend so much time having like a stronghold on doing all the things, checking all the boxes, hitting that next milestone, getting this thing. And like, I think at the end of the day, if you spend all of your time trying to force something into existence, there's not space for things to just happen, like the Billboard, like my Whiskey Jam debut, like 1.1 million streams, like and I have things that I want to do this year. Like, I want to make my Opry debut. Maybe that might come in 2026. I want to I want my music played live for 200,000 people. Like, I learned something from somebody recently. She's an artist and she's a songwriter. Her name's Renee Blair. And she had done all of her goals and stuff for last year. And she was going through them at the end of the year. And, I guess the year before last, whatever, you get it. And she was talking about how when, like, she hit a lot of these goals, but they showed up differently than how she wrote them down. But she still hit them. And that made me really, like, that's why this whole, like, leaving room for the magic thing has kind of, like, come into my brain in the last little while. And, but all that being said, to long-winded, but circle back and answer the fucking question. I really want to get on a big tour this year, or some type of a tour. I want to get back to Ontario and play a string of shows, hometown, Toronto, and then maybe a third. I really want to find a team of people because I'm independent fully. So that includes publishing deal, label deal, management, agent, that sort of thing. But I just also am like, man, something really cool could happen that I don't even know about that could change all of these things, And I mean, God help us, TikTok will probably go away. So that sucks. But like, you just don't know what's going to pop off wherever. And I'm really trying hard to just leave space for the magic and like have the goals, obviously, and do the things that kind of lead you down that path, but believe that things can also manifest different than you. I think that there's lots of things. And I mean, every artist is kind of the same. Like, we all just want people to care. And I think it's so easy, even if you're getting millions of streams, guilty, where like, you're like, do people even give a shit about what I'm doing and saying? And like, you base so much of your existence on likes and comments and like stream. It's so hard. It's so hard. And then your whole existence is like, do people like me? And
well, it would be hard not for that to be like
in
your mind, because like you're writing your soul onto these songs and putting them out there for people to listen to, and
Yeah, but I also think you just have to, I don't know. I'm trying really hard to be more aware of like what you create and what you say matters, regardless of who you are. It matters to somebody. It might not matter to the people that you want it to matter to, but it matters to somebody. And I think I've spent a lot of time on TikTok the last 6 to 8 months connecting with new fans now who I've just realized that there's people out there who I don't know what they look like and I don't know their name, and they really love my music. And
That's a crazy thought.
I have people that will show up in my lives and be like, "When are you coming to Cincinnati?" And I'm like, who are you? Did someone pay you to say that? Like, I don't know, but then you start to realize that, like, no, there are people that care, and they're just not, they might be telling their friends about you, but they're not like posting it on social media. So you have no concept that they exist, It's like, I don't know who's listening to the podcast from forever ago. I couldn't tell you. I have no clue.
Neither do we. We could just kind of put them on a map.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, even for you guys, it's like you spend so much time figuring out how to run a podcast, figuring out who you want on it. What are the questions we're going to ask? How much posting it? Blah, blah. And it's so hard to not put your worth into the views, but there's somebody that probably is really excited every time an episode comes out.
Looking at you, Tim.
We love you, Tim.
Tim is so great. He'll send us a message after almost every episode and he's like, great episode. And then he'll like say something that's like so super meaningful about the episode, or put his like opinion in there too. I love it.
See, that stuff is game changer, because I've had a couple people DM me, strangers, don't know them from Adam, and they'll send me, generally it's about last time or halfway. But most of the time it's about half last time. And it's like, I needed this song so bad right now. Or Lying to Me. Lying to Me has gotten a lot of them. Of just people that like, and you're like, what? Like, I hit something. I hit you so hard that like you needed to message me about it. Like, that's cool. Like, it's so cool. So
it's cool until this. I just thought of something. I used to be, well, I'm not a writer, but I used to be a writer, and I wrote a really personal article one time. It was like, fuck it, let's post it anyway. So we did it, and then I got a bunch of messages from strangers all over North America, and it was really cool. And I was like, this is cool. This is why you sometimes just like let it out and tell the internet and whatever. 4 years later, maybe 5 years later, I get an email from this gentleman. I don't know how he got my email address, like how he found me through this article that I no longer have an author page and face to, gets my email and asks me advice on this topic with his girlfriend. And I was like, no, this was cool. I am not responsible for what you're about to do, my dude. No.
I've had a couple people ask if they can talk to me about their personal situations. I'm like, no, I can't. Like, I love that you feel like we are friends. That's great. But unfortunately, like, I don't have space to take on.
Let my music be your therapy. I am not your therapist.
That's a crazy thing. Like, I've never experienced that until this year.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm learning boundaries in a different way. And it's strange. It's very strange. Because you want to be like, I believe in you. Like, it's going to be okay. But then you kind of like open the door sometimes for conversations that might not end. So
I think it is probably a delicate like balance, because there's been a lot of things in the pop culture news and stuff with like this past year with Chappell Roan even like putting up boundaries between her and her fans, which think what you will about it.
Sure.
There's like probably a whole bunch of different perspectives here, but
of course,
I think there's probably some element of importance there to put up that boundary, but also not be a jerk about it.
Yeah, and I can't imagine being someone like Chappell Roan, who has been in the game for so long but skyrocketed so quickly, and then all of a sudden you're inundated with people who feel like they deserve a part of your space and to be that close to you all the time. Like, there's both, like, I get needing to interact with fans and be like that person to your fans, but also like you wouldn't expect that of just a general person in your life. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, it is a delicate thing. I can't.
You also don't want to alienate your fans and be like, go away. Cause like,
right.
It's very
like,
strange.
If they can connect with you and they connect with your music simultaneously, like, I'm a firm believer that this whole resurgence of like being authentic and genuine and showing up as a human being and you as who you are is so beneficial. And it's like, how do you shut off the parts of you to the people who believe in you, who are like resonating with the person that you are. Like it's such a
Yeah.
weird, and I'm not even in a realm of like, you know, we have friends that are there and we've heard stories of like, yeah, that person is at every show and it's like this
Mhm.
thing. And we have like, you know, I'm not even there yet, but I can't imagine
No.
what that's like to manage. I mean, that's why you have people in place to help.
On the topic of genuine and
Mhm.
whatnot, and people post, I saw this the other day, and it was just talking about trends in music in 2025. And then I talked on the
What do you
internet.
mean? Are you talking about the TikTok that you posted?
It was from
I saw this video.
It was from no, it was from other content I consumed, and then I made a video about it. But then I got a question asking about it. So the trend is this year is not going to be made of genres; it's going to be made of moments. And then somebody asked me, "What do moments look like for new indie, emerging, and independent artists who don't have the luxury of skyrocketing to the top, who might not have their moment on TikTok, who don't want to have their moment like that?" So I'm curious what you think before I answer that TikTok, because I'm still ruminating.
I love Jenna on TikTok, and if TikTok does go away, you're gonna have to move to Reels because we need your content. It's fantastic.
Well, hey, there's news that some annoying Canadians going to be buying TikTok in the U.S. So.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Go.
Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah.
Go, Kev. Go. We need it saved.
Yes.
I need to be able to promote my career.
We need to keep going live because we love
I
that
know.
content. I love popping in every once in a while.
Me singing while I'm doing my hair. Okay, so what do those moments look like for independent artists who don't have the luxury of just like the industry? Man, interesting. You know what? I saw this question on that post, and
So did I
thought about it.
Can I answer? Because I think I have an idea.
Good. I mean, there's no wrong answer. It's more just like, what do you think? So
here's what I think. I think people are going to take their own authority might be the wrong word, but they're going to take their own, like take the bull by the horns and create their own brand unapologetically in whatever way that looks like. So I think we might see a resurgence of like more merch drops, other ways of marketing your music, be it like wall decos, like an Etsy store, like smaller intimate shows that create an experience. This is something that I really want to lean into at some point. And like I think it's creating something that is truly your own regardless of the outcome.
Yeah.
And like content that is not necessarily content that's created not based off of what is going to be best consumed by the algorithm, but because creatively it's an outlet for you. Like that's what I think, but
it's hard to answer that question by saying like be yourself and your people will find you, but it kind of will.
It is.
But I think like a moment, like the quote unquote moment that you're talking about doesn't have to be for millions of people. Like a moment can be for just your core 10, like your huge 10 fans, or you know, whatever that little moment is. Like you can have your own moments regardless of what level you're at.
Well, and what's frustrating about what we do is that you define the moments that you want to achieve based off other people achieving those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I say this a lot, and I have to remind myself of this, but there's a reason why racehorses have blinders. You gotta stay in your lane. And I think that the people that have stayed in their lane and not worried about what's going on with whoever down the street, I think the longevity aspect is more probable, and you actually stay creative in what's genuine to you versus like, oh, they're going this direction, so I need to move this direction and I need to fill the gap. No, just like do the stuff that you like. I was in a meeting today, and normally when it's like industry people, you want to like, sometimes I'll be like, I have songs that feed the machine, that feed the pop country thing. And I'm like, I've got those things. Don't worry, I have them. And she said to me, she was like, don't care. Do you have the songs that feed your soul? And I was like, yes. Because at the end of the day, the stuff that you love the most that is so authentically you, that is like from your deepest corners of your soul, I think that goes further anyways and
Yeah,
creates your
totally.
moments inevitably.
Build a moment for you, and the others will follow.
Yeah. Which like it's so hard because I
Yeah,
mean I get
easier
DMs
said
from,
than done.
yeah, and I get DMs from artists all the time that are like, how did you get this thing and how do I get more Spotify plays and how do I'm like, show up. Keep showing up, man. I'm 14 or 15 singles in, and it's only on this last thing that the last couple of things, I guess, that things have like really started to roll with the DSPs a little bit more. Like it takes time. Like
Mm.
you have to prove that you're showing up consistently, and your fans need to see that too, or the people that haven't discovered you yet. Like you, that's the way everybody else has done it. Like sure, there's like nuances of people having a viral moment, but what do you think about it, Logan?
Well, I mean, like
That's
what I
just it.
just said, like build the moment for yourself. A moment doesn't have to be for 1 million people. It could be
Yeah.
for 30 people, or for your
Yeah.
family, and then like the rest will come
Well, and like
eventually, maybe.
I think we can get really far away. It's like the moments have to be so big. They have to be my whiskey jam debut, the Opry, like what are the things for you that are smaller moments that like make you feel validated like by you, not
Mm-hmm.
because someone else gave you the validation. It's like the thing that you're like, yeah, that felt good for my soul.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to separate those things because we're all trying to be successful, but
I've
yeah,
had a
it's such
little
an
bit
interesting concept.
I've had a little bit of a different that not to it doesn't answer this question. I'm still gonna have to think about that, but it started getting me thinking about the core things that labels used to look for and say they look for, and
Mm,
that's um, one, good music that isn't gonna, if it sounds like shit now, we can produce it better and it'll sound great. Can you
mhm,
perform live, and does your hometown care about you? Basically, like, do you have a crowd of 50 people who will buy a ticket every time? And I think there's a
mhm,
lot, like, the internet has given people a place, but it doesn't fill a seat. And I think we're
Mm-hmm.
going to go back to re-emphasizing these things. And I kind of
mhm,
think that's where those like indies and the new and emerging are going to be able to succeed, because that's what they have to do to build
mhm.
something again. In the last few years, there are people who have been doing that forever, 100%. There
Yeah.
are some that haven't or didn't
Mhm,
realize that's what they should have been doing. And so this
mhm.
new crop, I think, is going to have a better chance, because that's the bread and butter of building a music career.
I mean, a lot of that probably also came from like the pandemic too, where they were just getting their start in the pandemic, and
Yeah. I
there was
mean,
no
that was
seats to
me.
fill. So let's just
Yeah,
find our internet community. But to your
Yeah.
point, that doesn't fill seats locally either.
No.
no,
And
no.
like, even if someone likes your song based off of Spotify, doesn't mean they're going to buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
there's just, yeah, I think that, I think that we all have an opportunity if you're trying to grow your career to like be in front of your people as much as possible. Like you have to try to find a way to do that. And like I haven't really done that to the best of my ability, that's for sure. And it's something that I'm like, it's a huge gap in my career. And like I need to be in front of people more. There's no shortage of people being like, are you playing this festival? When are you coming here? Like I'm seeing that more and more and more. And I'm like, ooh, I need to like get out there.
Mm.
I need to be out doing it, and meeting these people and like honoring some of those relationships. But that's also hard too because you got to pay a band and it's not cheap being on the road.
Yeah.
So you have to be pretty strategic about it at the same time, unless you have the ability to just do it. Like if it's just you and your guitar and you can make it happen, like yeah, get after it.
And come to a hometown show.
I mean, that's the plan.
All that to say, what's 2025 looking like?
2025. So I have a lot
No
of
music.
songs.
No music. None.
No music. We're actually gonna make a children's novel. Um, it's called Curse
I wasn't
Words.
sure what word was coming after children.
It's called what?
It's called Curse Words.
Okay. Yeah.
Curse words and how to use them.
Yep. Um, yeah.
That's the important part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got songs.
Get Fucked, the novel.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
See you in the future, fucker.
Coming to a bookstore near you.
Yeah, coming to a bookstore near you. I'm sitting on a stack of songs right now that I'm really excited about. Stuff that I feel really passionately about that came. It almost felt like a very like out of body universe drops me an idea kind of moment, and very magical when the songs happen. And I come back to these songs every single time, and they're with people who I love dearly. So that will happen. I would love to get a record out by the end of the year, but it seems like you blink and it's the end of
the year's done.
But new music, we're gonna let halfway kind of do its thing, because I mean there's the OG version and now there's the live version, and I want to give that time to just do its thing, and I don't want to like rush to do the next song. So but there's gonna be the stuff that's coming. There's some stuff that's a little bit more pop country. There's some stuff that's like very traditional country. There's some stuff that's like kind of down the middle. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. And if anybody wants to say pick a lane, I'll say this is who I am.
My lane's an 8-lane highway.
Yeah, man. Fuck all the way off. Respectfully. She's a lady. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
This feels like the perfect time to say thank you so much for
Yeah, anyways, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be big.
I'm so glad you're able to join us for our season 4 premiere.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming back.
No, thank you for coming back.
Thanks for letting me come back.
You only get
There's always a space for you on the porch. Actually, the last time I saw you in IRL, you were running from my house because my dog just got skunked.
Oh, no, I didn't run. I just sat there and ate cake pops.
True.
Yeah, it didn't help. But it's an honor to be back. You guys are the best. I'm hoping that your year is also super exciting.
Thanks.
I feel like you guys had a great year.
We did have a good year. We've had a good... Excuse me. I'm starting 2025 off terribly with a cold.
I think I can finish your sentence. We've had a good couple of years.
Yeah, but it feels like that last
Remember
year...
earlier when I said we finished each other's and I left a blank and you didn't say sentences? There, you just did it there. Thank you.
I think we're all going to have a good year. I feel like 2025 is going to be a good year.
I'm feeling it too.
Same. I really am. It's going to be a good one. As I said,
I'm definitely telling myself that. The OxyClean that my laptop's sitting on right now.
You have to send us a picture of your setup and we will share it for the world.
Anyways, this has been a slice. I love you guys so much. I am grateful for you and all the things that you do for us little artists. We couldn't do what we do without you. Hope you know that.
Oh, say more.
I mean, seriously, I know that sounded like I was being obnoxious, but I do truly mean that.
Well, thanks, Parker.
Thanks for listening to another episode of On the Porch with Front Porch Music. We're so lucky to be able to chat with artists and make episodes like this one. If you like the podcast, remember to rate and review us, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. It's the easiest way to support the show. Remember to check out frontporchmusic.ca to keep up with new music releases, exclusive artist interviews, and more. We'll catch you again on The Porch in a couple of weeks. On The Porch is hosted by Logan Miller and Jenna Weiser, and produced and edited by Jason Saunders. That's me. Our theme song was written, produced, and performed by Owen Wrigley.